Hi math friends! Today we are going to be continuing our solving equations unit, and we are going to learn how to solve one-step equations using multiplication and division, and then we also will be learning to solve two-step equations. So with that said, go ahead and take out a piece of paper. Remember that as you watch this video lesson, you need to follow along and take notes, do the practice problems with me, and then at the end of this video there will be a quiz that you need to do and turn in, and make sure when you do your quiz that you show all of your work. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Remember, when you are solving an equation, you are isolating the variable by using inverse operations. It's really important to remember that addition and subtraction are inverse operations, and multiplication and division are inverse operations. And then also remember that you need to follow the properties of equality. So whatever you do on one side of the equation, you need to do the exact same thing on the other side to keep it equal. Okay, so solving a one-step equation with multiplication or division. We have this equation right here, and this equation reads 2 times x equals negative 6. Okay, remember, whenever there is a number right next to a variable, that is implied multiplication. And it's really, really important that whenever you see a term like this, that you say this is 2 times x. Okay? So we have 2 times x equal to negative 6, and we want to make this just an x. We want to isolate this variable right here. We want to get this variable all by itself. And right now, this variable is on the left side of our equation. So in order to get the x all by itself, we're going to have to get rid of the 2. The way that we get rid of the 2 is by using inverse operations. Right now we have 2 times x. So to get rid of a multiplication of 2, we're going to use division. So we would divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 leaves us with 1x. And if we multiply the left side by 2, or divide the left side by 2, we also have to divide the right side by 2. So that leaves us with x is equal to negative 3. X equals negative 3 is our solution. If we do 2 times negative 3, that does equal negative 6. Okay, now I'm going to show you something that happens all of the time in my math class. Okay, I have kids all of the time do this. 2 times x equals 6, and they try and get rid of the 2 by doing a subtract 2. Okay, but this does not work. Subtraction does not undo multiplication. So if you want to undo a multiplication, you have to use division. So let's go ahead and try another one of those. Let's say I give you negative 3 times by x equals 9. Okay, the first thing I'm going to show you is what not to do. Okay, so I hope you're watching this. This is what not to do, okay? You cannot get rid of a multiplication of negative 3, because that's what this is. Negative 3 times by x. You cannot get rid of a multiplication by using addition, okay? Instead, when you have negative 3 times x equals 9, you have to get rid of that multiplication of negative 3 by using a division of negative 3. And notice that I divide by a negative 3. And that's because negative 3 divided by negative 3 gives me a positive 1x. And that's what we want to have happen. 9 divided by negative 3 is negative 3. And to check, to make sure that this really is our solution, if we plug negative 3 in for the x, it does give us positive 9. Okay, so let's go back to our first slide here. Negative 3 times x equals 9. Well, we know that if that that is our equation. Negative 3 times x equals 9. X equals negative 3 is our solution. So far, all of the equations that we have learned how to solve have been one-step equations. That means that there was one step that we needed to do in order to get the variable all by itself. The next thing we are going to learn is how to solve a two-step equation. Okay? A two-step equation means that there are two things that we have to get rid of or undo in order to get our variable all by itself. Now this is really, really important, so make sure you're paying close attention. When you do a math problem, so when you evaluate an expression or simplify an expression, we follow the order of operations. So we do parentheses first, then we do exponents, then we do all of our multiplications and divisions, then we do all of our additions and subtractions. Okay? So when we do a math problem, we follow the order of operations. When we are solving an equation, we are undoing. Okay? We are trying to undo whatever's been done to the variable. Okay, so when we solve an equation, we follow the reverse order of operations. So we get rid of the addition or subtraction part first, always. And then we get rid of the multiplication or division part. So here is an example of a two-step equation. This equation reads negative 3 times by x plus 4 equals 13. So negative 3 times by x, I think it was plus 4. Okay, this is a two-step equation. So when we solve a two-step equation, we always get rid of the addition or subtraction part first. Then we get rid of the multiplication or division. So let's identify where our variable is. In this equation, our variable is right here. Okay? This is our right side of the equation. This is the left side of our equation. So our variable is on the left side of the equation. In order for this variable to be all by itself, we are going to have to get rid of the plus 4. We also have to get rid of the multiplication of negative 3. So our very first step in solving this equation and isolating this variable is to get rid of the plus 4. The opposite of adding 4 is to subtract 4. So we could do that on both sides, which now gives us negative 3 times by x equals 13 minus 4, which is 9. From there, we're going to get rid of the multiplication of negative 3 by using division. So we would divide by negative 3 on both sides. X equals negative 3. Negative 3 is our solution. If we plug negative 3 into our original equation, we can see that negative 3 times 3, negative 3 is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. Okay, x equals negative 3 does make our solution true. Okay, so let's look at another example of a two-step equation. X divided by 4 minus 8 equals 18. So this is something that you haven't seen before. X divided by 4. But you can do this. When we're solving this equation for the x, our first step is to figure out where the x is. And in this case, the x is right here. Okay, again, it's on the left side of our equation. Okay, so in order to get that x all by itself, there's two things we have to get rid of. We have to get rid of the subtract 8, which we're going to do that first. We also have to get rid of the divided by 4. And you guys know that the opposite of dividing is multiplying. Okay, so here we go. To get rid of the subtract 8, we're going to do a plus 8. Remember, whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do that exact same thing on the other side. So that leaves us with x divided by 4 equals 12 plus 8, which is 20. Now from here, to get this x by itself, to get rid of the divided by 4, we're going to have to multiply the left side by 4, which means we also need to multiply the right side by 4. Okay, when we multiply 4 over 1 by x over 4, to multiply fractions you do top times top over bottom times bottom, so that's going to be 4x over 4, and you guys know that 4 divided by 4 is a 1x. So 1x equals 20 times 4, which is 80. And then from there, our last step is to check our solution. If we take 80 and we divide it by 4, and then we subtract 8, we do get 12. Okay, so x equals 80. That is our solution. Okay, so we're going to try a few more of these. This equation reads negative 2 times x minus 6 equals 10. Remember, whenever you're solving an equation, the very first step is to identify where your variable is. And in this case, our variable is right here. It is on the left side of our equation. This is our right side. This is our left side. When we solve an equation, we're trying to isolate the variable. So that means we want to get this x all by itself. We're going to have to get rid of the subtract 6. We also have to get rid of the multiplication of negative 2. We always get rid of the addition or subtraction part first. Then we get rid of the multiplication and division part. So here we go. Let's go ahead and solve this equation. To get rid of the subtract 6, we add 6. And if we add 6 to the left side, we have to add 6 to the right side, which leaves us with negative 2 times by x equal to 16. From there, to get rid of the multiplication of negative 2, we're going to have to use a division of negative 2. Remember, division is the only way that you can cancel out multiplication. If we divide the left side by 2, negative 2, we also have to divide the right side by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is a positive 1x, and 16 divided by negative 2 is negative 8. X equals negative 8 is our solution. And so now let's hurry and check and make sure that negative 8 does make a true statement here. So negative 2 times by negative 8 is positive 16 minus 6 does equal 10. Okay, so x equals negative 8. That is our solution. Okay, let's look at another two-step equation where we have to use multiplication as our last step in isolating the x. Okay, one thing that helps when you're solving equations is to read the equation out loud to yourself and to figure out what is happening. So x is being divided by 6, and then we're subtracting 7. That is equal to negative 2. So if we want to isolate this x, we want to get this x right here all by itself. So our first step is to get rid of the subtract 7 by doing an addition of 7. If we add 7 to the left side, we have to add 7 to the right side, which leaves us with x divided by 6 equals negative 2 plus 7. Remember, whenever you're dealing with positive negatives, get out your calculator. Make sure you have that right next to you all the time. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5. And then from here, we have one last step to get this x all by itself, and that is to get rid of our divided by 6. The opposite of dividing by 6 is going to be multiplying by 6. If we multiply the left side by 6, we have to multiply the right side by 6. So that gives us x equals 30. Okay, now at this point, I'm going to put an equation up here on the board. I want you to write it down, push pause, and see if you can get this one correct. Okay, so push pause, do this question on your paper, and then push play and see if you did it correctly. So to solve this equation, let's first read it out loud. We have -4 times by x plus 5 equals 9. We know that whenever we're solving an equation, our very first step is to get rid of the plus 5. Okay, we want to get rid of any addition or subtraction first. So the opposite of adding 5 is to subtract 5. If we subtract 5 from the left side, we have to subtract 5 from the right side. So -4 times x equals 4. Now, from there, we need to get rid of the multiplication of -4. The way that we undo a multiplication of -4 is by using a division of -4. Whatever we do on one side, we have to do on the other side. Now we're left with x equals 4 divided by -4, which is -1. Okay, I hope you got that correct. And if not, that's okay. We're going to continue to practice a few more of these. There's one more thing that we need to talk about here before you have your quiz. Oh, I'm not ready for you to have your quiz yet. Let's go back. Okay, here we go. Sometimes when you're solving an equation, you may need to simplify one of the sides first. So you guys know that whenever we have a number in front of a parentheses, we have to distribute that number or multiply that number by everything inside the parentheses. So let's go ahead and do that. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times a -7, because there's a minus sign in front of the 7, it makes it negative, is -21 plus x equals 3. Okay, we can continue to solve this left side because 3x and 1x, those are like terms. Okay, so when we combine 3x and 1x, we get 4x, and then we have a -21 equals 3. Once we have simplified, now we just have a two-step equation that we need to solve. So remember, whenever you're solving a two-step equation, you get rid of the addition or subtraction part first. So we have 4 times x minus 21 equals 3. I'm going to write this on a new page so we have a little bit more space. 4 times x minus 3 equals 21. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of the subtract 3 by adding 3. So 4 times x equals 24. Then, to get rid of the multiplication of 4, we would use division. Divide by 4 on both sides. X equals 6. That is our solution. So let's do another one of these where we have to simplify first. So let me go ahead and write this on another screen. And at any time, it's really great practice for you guys to pause the video and see if you can do this one on your own. And then you can watch me do it. Okay, so for this particular equation, we have 8 times by y minus 5 plus 2y equals -10. Before we can solve this equation, we need to simplify. We need to simplify first. We have this 8 that's right next to a parenthesis. And in math, we know that whenever a number is next to a parenthesis, that's implied multiplication. So we need to distribute the 8 to both of the terms inside the parenthesis. So here we go. 8 times y is 8y. 8 times -5 is -40. Then we have plus 2y equals -10. We're going to continue solving from there, or simplifying from there, because on this left side we have some like terms. We have 8y and 2y that we can combine, and that would give us 10y. Subtract 40 equals negative 10. Now, after we've simplified, we are ready to solve our equation. So our first step in getting the y by itself is to get rid of any addition or subtraction. So let's go ahead and do that. So to get rid of the minus 40, we're going to do a plus 40, which leaves us with 10 times by y equal to, use your calculator here, negative 10 plus 40 is 30. So we have 10 times y equals 30. And then we would divide by 10 on both sides. So y equals 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at your quiz. For your first quiz question, you have negative 2 times by x plus 5 equals 13. For your second quiz question, you have x divided by 2 minus 4 equals 10. And for your third quiz question, you have 2 times by x plus 2 plus 3x equals 14. I am going to give you a practice one that looks like each of these. I want you to try the practice one on your own, and then you'll know if you're ready for your quiz or not. So negative 2x plus 5 equals 13. We give you a practice one like that. Negative 2 times x plus 6 equals 12. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video at this point. Try this question right here on your own, and then push play and see if you did it correctly. Okay, so the way that we would solve this equation, negative 2 times by x plus 6 equals 12, is we first get rid of the plus 6 by doing a subtract 6 on both sides. That gives us negative 2 times x equals 6. To get rid of the multiplication of negative 2, we're going to use division. So we have to divide by negative 2 on both sides. So x equals negative 3. That is our solution. I am going to tell you guys right here, when we are at this step, negative 2 times x equals 6. I've been teaching this a long time, and we'll have at least one of you do this. Okay, so make sure that that's not you. Make sure that you do not try and get rid of a multiplication of negative 2 by using addition. Okay, let's do one like quiz question number 2. So x divided by 3 minus 4 equals 2. So go ahead and pause the video, try this one on your own, push play, and then see if you did it correctly. Okay, so x divided by 3 minus 4 equals 2. Our very first step in solving this equation for the x is to get rid of the subtract 4 by doing an addition of 4 on both sides. So x divided by 3 equals 6. And then to get rid of the divided by 3 so that we're left with just an x, we have to multiply by 3, which we do that on both sides. So that leaves us with x equals 18. So that is our solution. The last one, the last quiz question requires you to simplify first. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a practice one just like that. 2 times x plus 2 plus 2x equals 12. So go ahead and try this one. Push pause, do this question, and then push play. Okay, so before we can solve, we need to simplify this left side. We need to distribute this 2 to both of these terms, and then we need to combine our like terms. And then we can solve the equation that we're left with. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times 2 is 4. We still have our plus 2x equals 12. And we're not done simplifying the left side because we can combine the 2x and the 2x and make that 4x plus 4 equals 12. Now we have a two-step equation that we can solve. Remember, whenever you're solving a two-step equation, you always get rid of the addition or subtraction part first. So we're going to get rid of the plus 4 by doing a subtract 4, which leaves us with 4 times x equals 8. And then from there, we divide by 4 on both sides. So x equals 2. That is our solution. And that, my friends, is the end of our lesson on solving a two-step equation. So at this point, there are two possibilities for you. You either understand this really well and you're ready to take your quiz, or you need a little bit more help and a little bit more practice. So if you are ready to take your quiz, go ahead and do that. Remember to write down the questions, show your work, and then turn your notes and your quiz into the box, and you will be done for the week, which is awesome. If you still need a little bit more help, join Miss Kohler and I in the breakout room, and we will just give you some more practice problems until you feel ready. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for following along, and I hope you guys have a really great day. Remember, if you have any questions at any time, please email me or Miss Kohler. Please call us. We don't have math lab today, but if you need help with anything outside of class, you can always make an appointment with us as well. So I will see you soon. So here's your quiz. Good luck.